I am a brand new midwife. I started working with birthing people in 2012 when I became a labor and delivery nurse. It was a very, very busy hospital, lots of high risk, of course, everybody wants to do their best for people that they care for, but it was a very medicalized place. So lots of continuous monitoring, and if you weren't on continuous monitoring, then everybody was on edge and that kind of deal. But I learned more about physiologic birth, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. Why aren't we all doing this? And so I went to midwifery school, went to Cal State Fullerton, did my clinicals at Kaiser. There was a community clinic in LA that was connected. We did our clinicals in a hospital there. And then also at a birth center. So I was very, very fortunate in that my clinical experience was varied. I got to see different things, which is super cool. And then I graduated and got my first job. It seemed like this miracle. I graduated, I had an interview. They were just waiting for me to pass my boards. I passed the board exams. I had to go back and forth with the Board of Registered Nursing to get licensed. That's kind of a whole thing I'm sure you'll encounter later. But I was licensed and I started my first job. It was in a place that was very, very different from my previous work, very different from my my local community. It ultimately, it really was just not the right place for me. It wasn't the right fit. I had issues communicating. There were lots of I felt like I had to be a certain way. Yeah, so tried that for 3 months. That didn't work out. And now I am at 2 birth centers, just per diem. Just want to introduce you to my family because the midwifery journey, it wasn't just me, it was definitely my family as well. So there's my husband, his name is Evan. This is Elijah, who's the oldest. And there's George. I gave birth to George just before I started midwifery school. So poor little guy, he's only ever known that Mama goes to work and goes to school and, she's gone. And then this is little Eleanor. She was born in the middle of midwifery school. Yeah, so it's a fun bunch. It's crazy. They've had to sacrifice a lot. We made it through though. We made it through. You're gonna make it through. It's gonna be okay. So we can move on to the next slide. Clinical. So, we're here to talk about clinicals. How are we gonna get through it? Any tips and things like that? For me, I found that my schedule with kids, with working part-time as a labor and delivery nurse, with all the reading and all the course load and just all of that, and clinicals, I found myself every single day waking up, I have somewhere to be, and my schedule is packed all day long, and I have a list a mile long of things to do, deadline after deadline. And so my way that I found where I could survive and get my assignments done and do well was a lot of self-care, which I'm well, how do you have time for that? But really I found, if I'm not sleeping at a decent hour, I'm not functional the next day. Then, where am I spending my energy? How is that efficient? Even one of my preceptors, one of the best things she ever told me was every single day, every day, at lunchtime, I take a little nap, whether it's 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or whatever she can do. I nap every single day. I never get sick, so I'm okay, so, very valuable. So even getting that, few minutes of like, okay, I'm just gonna sit here, close my eyes, I'm okay, I have 2 minutes, I have 5 minutes, I have 15 minutes, what have you. Um, and then hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. We all know how yucky we feel when we're not hydrated and not um, giving our body what it needs to function. I found that eating was another time-consuming thing that prior to midwifery school, I'm a foodie. I love to sit down and enjoy a meal and taste all the different things and all the textures and talk about what I'm experiencing. But I found out, oh, I don't have time for that. I gotta eat and chart. I gotta this and it's just there's a lot. So for that, I found the night before, I really just have to pack my food. I have to take the time the night before. I kind of laugh about this now, but I say that when I was in midwifery school, I lived off of hard-boiled eggs. So I boil eggs and peel two for the next morning. String cheese was another easy source of protein for me in the morning. Fig bars. Thank God for Costco in those big bars, and bananas. So these, hopefully you find your own thing where it's healthy, keeps you fueled, and keeps your brain functioning, right? Like when we're learning, there's so much going on, and I definitely felt like I'm learning so much. I'm so exhausted. I sat most of the day, but I'm so hungry and so exhausted. And it's that learning piece. Like it takes so much out of us to be in the place of learning. So make sure you stay fueled up. And another thing that helped me a lot to stay organized was making sure my backpack was packed the night before and making sure I had my outfit laid out. I don't know about you, but I'm not a early morning person. I take forever to get out of bed. When I first wake up, my brain is just not on. So I'd lay out my clothes the night before to prevent me from spending, the extra 10 minutes trying to figure out what am I gonna wear. And then with that too, it also helped me to have like my own uniform for things, even if it wasn't required. Like if I'm in clinic, this is my outfit. If I'm in the hospital, this is my outfit. If I'm studying, this is my outfit. That definitely cut down the time of like thinking about something that isn't going to get me a better grade. The next thing is being mentally present and paying attention. I feel like this has saved me so much. I would tell myself to show up. I'm so busy and I'm stressed out and I want to be with my kids and all these different things, but just show up and pay attention. Show up and pay attention. And especially during lecture or anytime I'm doing some hands-on skill, if I just showed up and paid attention, I realized like this is the time for me to gain from this experience. If I'm not paying attention now, I'm gonna have to go back and review this later, and I may not have time later. So now is the time to do it now. If your group, your cohort is going through a certain topic, a certain scenario, just be present. Text messages can wait, emails can wait. Just let it be. Trust me, you'll remember so much more when you're in the present and experiencing with your hands, your sense of smell, your ears, like with your heart. When you're experiencing with your whole being, you remember it so much better. And then another thing I've learned is just with learning, it's such a process. I feel like it took me my entire adult life to realize what a process learning is. And really, you hear about something for the first time and it's foreign, but you're like, oh, okay. And then you hear about it a second time and maybe you're like, oh yeah, like I remember this and that. And then maybe you hear about it a third time and it solidifies a little bit more. And then maybe, after that, then you can start having conversations about it and teaching other people about it. And it comes quicker to you. So with when I was a new labor and delivery nurse, I got really frustrated, like thinking, why am I so slow? The other nurses can do it so quickly. Why is it not coming to me? And really, speed was just always the last thing. And then in my years as a labor delivery nurse, when I became more expert at it and started training other people, that's what I realized, like when we expect people to be fast as the first thing, it doesn't quite work because all the pieces are everywhere. And really, when we learn a new craft, learn a new hobby, anything big like that, we have to learn it in pieces, right? In midwifery, for me, I can use suturing as an example. We don't right away like see someone do a repair and automatically know how to do it. Like we have to learn about what muscles are where, how do we put things together, how do we hold the needle holder, how do we open it and close it, how do we use forceps with our other hand, how do we hold the suture material in our hands while we're doing all this. So it's a lot, right? And it really is unrealistic to expect anyone to pick all that up in one go and pick it up super quickly. So that's where, practice skills slowly at home. So for example, suturing, do it very, very slowly at home so you know which fingers go where, how you're holding things. You can talk it out to yourself. There's no pressure of anybody watching or anything like that. And speed is just going to come last. Once it becomes second nature, then you start to feel more comfortable, right? And then my last point here for clinicals is making notes for what's necessary in office visits. So in my program, we started with office visits first, and then we moved on to the intrapartum. I remember feeling nervous about the visits because I thought, there's so many components. How do I remember everything? And if I'm doing a new visit for a pregnancy, what are all the different things I have to include? If I'm doing an annual exam, what do I have to include? So it really, really helped me to write it all out. What are all the different pieces that I need? I was fortunate in that there was a student ahead of me who had done all this, and she shared her notes, which, that was helpful, but really I found it way more helpful when I made my own notes because it would make sense to me, and I was actively involved in the process of learning and making this. So I really, really encourage you to do that so that, before your day of clinical, you can review, okay, if someone, this is their first visit, and they're pregnant, they're establishing care, we're going to go through this. If they are coming in for birth control, what are all the different contraindications? Are they smoking? Do they have a history of hypertension? All these different things. It's a lot at first, but like anything else, the more we review it and do it and write it down and practice and say it out loud and explain it to somebody else, eventually we'll feel more comfortable with it. All right. Next slide, please. And now your relationship with your preceptor. So as I just kind of thought, as how did I feel when I was teaching other bedside RNs? I really appreciated being thanked. Now, like I love to teach. I love showing other people what I know. I love like, oh, this is what I went through this TIFAT, and this is what helped me. Like I love doing all that. So I would, I'll teach anybody. I'll teach anybody that's willing. But I feel like as humans, we like to know that what we're doing is helpful and is appreciated. So just expressing gratitude. For me, generally, it was like, of course, we can do that in person and with our words, But I found that a lot of people liked notes, just like a card. That was something that was easy. Um, one of the ways I love people is with food. So I'm that person. I bring food, I bring snacks. Although one thing that I found though is not everybody is like that. Not everybody wants food. So you might have to feel it out with, whoever you're with. But that's one thing. And then also another thing I discovered when I was learning from different people is that, I had to be open to learning different ways of doing things. Not all midwives practice the same. I walked into midwifery school thinking like, oh, everybody practices the same. We're all midwives. We all want to be with women. And it was just a lot of thinking that we do things the same. But of course, we're all people. We don't all do things the same way. And I really had to be open to like, okay, this midwife is more hands-on, say. This midwife is more hands-off. This person wants to be more aggressive in terms of like making sure that you check in every single hour and you're writing a note at this interval or what have you. So people practice in different ways. That was just one of my realizations. And how they practice is not necessarily how you will practice in the future. So while you are their student, just do it the way, have the conversation, of course, but if it's okay with you, just do it the way they ask. And that I feel like that prevents conflict. To just say, okay, you're, for us as the learner to be humble and just say, you're teaching me, you're experiencing this, so let me go ahead and do it your way. And yeah, really, like once you're on your own, you don't have to do that way if you find that it doesn't work for you or for that situation. I also found that, also in terms of people practicing differently, every midwife that I worked with had different specialties that they were really good at. Like one person I worked with, she was really good at procedures and suturing. So I spent a lot of time with her learning those skills. And other people, they were more like in managing birth. They were more thinking of like, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. What about this? What about that? And it's just, everybody has different skills. And I was really amazed by that. And I was really grateful, like that I even had multiple preceptors that I can learn all this from. Yeah, so just, soak it all up, pick up all the pieces you can from whoever you can. And, it's just extra tools to add to your bag. Coffee, tea, snacks. Like I said, I'm a food person. I like to love people with food. So I feel like that generally is appreciated. Although I don't know, now with COVID, I feel like people are afraid to share anything like that. And then last in this slide, but I would say most importantly, is to communicate your learning goals. And like I mentioned before, learning there are so many pieces to learning. There's so many pieces to learning midwifery, so many different skills to pick up. So in any one clinical shift, any day, night, pick out some goals for yourself. Say, right now I'm still learning, this hands-on skill. So if we have more opportunities for that, I would love to do that. Or right now I'm learning how to do Leopold, and then that way your preceptor can spend more time with you, showing you the ins and outs of it and paying more attention when you're doing it. Because again, we're all people, and your preceptor hopefully will make sure that, everything is safe above all, and that, nothing is going awry. But, they're not going to know what you know, what you don't know. They're not going to know what you need to focus on. They're not going to know what you've been practicing at home or in your classroom. So if you let them know, like, the next few births, I really want to make sure that I'm working more quickly to control bleeding or something like that, then they can kind of prompt you and guide you, and they can pay more attention to you during those moments. Because over 8 hours, 12 hours, or however many hours you're with the preceptor, they're not always going to be eyes glued on you and what you're doing. So really, just speaking up. This is what I want to learn. This is what I need to learn, and that helps everybody be on the same page and focus a lot more. And that is what I have for you.